Well, it's not going to be as late as the one that went up at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. This video is up a little bit late in the day because I had other stuff to do this morning and the chapter wasn't up, so I had to wait, and now it was up, and blah, 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 blah. So, chapter 1161, A Love Ballad in a Hail of Arrows. I don't know, that sounds like something that would be a song in Game of Thrones, in the Game of Thrones series. That just sounds like one of the songs that would be there, in all honesty, if you ask me. We get two cover pages this week. The first one is a colored double page spread. Actually, I think also the cover of the magazine is also a one-piece cover this week. I think so, but we're just going to focus on this one. So this one is Crane Game theme. So we have all of the Straw Hats are here, and they are all at a place that has a crane game. And all of them are holding different plushies that kind of have to do with different characters. Some of which that are very important to them. Others that are popular side characters. So Usopp is the one playing the crane game. Chopper is stuck inside of the crane game. Brook is the claw inside of the crane game. And then we have, Luffy and Nami are front and center, and they're kind of fighting over a Chopper plushie. And Luffy has a bunch of plushies. He has a Gaimon plushie in his mouth. He has a Momonosuke plushie in his pocket. He has Whitebeard, Rayleigh, Yamato, Dodon, Garp, Makino, and Sabo, and Shanks, and Ace. I think I got them. Are all, looped in his arms. Which is funny. Hancock's is just kind of falling away to the wayside. We have Sanji holding a bunch of them. He's got Pudding and Perona, Lilith. I think there's a Conus one. There's a Whoop Slap one in the background too. A Kami one, a Hiyori one. There's a Kinemon one off to the side. Nami is holding Genzo, Belmere, Nojiko, Vivi. She's got one that is Hardest, who is the weather wizard. There's a Carrot plushie off to the side. Zoro's off to the side. He's sleeping, of course. Or no, he's kind of trying to sleep. He's getting hit by Sanji. He's sleeping on a giant Shirahoshi plush. And there's a Mihawk plushie off to the side. There's a Buggy plushie. Jinbei is sleeping in the background. He has a Saul plushie and a Broggy plushie, which is adorable. Robin is worried because Chopper is stuck in the game, and then Frankie is counting up the tokens so they can see how much more how they can spend their money, which is just funny. To the cover page, second cover page, we have possibly the resolution of the Yamato cover page story. I'm not sure yet. We'll see if we get another one in the next chapter. But this one is Yamato has returned to the Flower Capital. He has made his way to the Shrine of Heroes, to the resting place of heroes. And Momonosuke and Kinemon are there with him. And the three of them are all there paying their respects. And we see a bunch of different lanterns in the background that have the names of those who died. So I know at least one of them is Odin. There's Toki. Yasue is on there. Ashura Doji and Izo. There's probably quite a few others names on there that I can't make them out because I can't read Japanese, but I'm sure someone's going to go through and translate all of them. But we got a bunch of them that passed. There might be a couple of others that are just side references to characters, like the other daimyo that we all know passed after they tried to fight against Kaido and resulted in Yamato being able to escape out of the cave. So their names are probably up there, and it's this very beautiful shrine that they have set up. So we'll see if we get another cover page for this one. Not sure. Into the chapter, right where the last one cut off, right where the last one ended, we are back to God Valley. Well, we technically don't leave God Valley, so it's just the island became an inescapable flashpoint where motive and fate erupted into a battlefield of nightmares. Yeah, I would agree on that one, very much so. And it's what happened when legends meet? So we have a bunch of the celestial dragons are just complaining as to what is going on, and one of the Marines is trying to get them to like head to the evacuation route, and one of them's like, but there's still a prize, I really want it. And it's just like, we will take responsibility and get it to you. You'll be taking responsibility for all of this, you idiot. I feel so sorry for these Marines to a degree. They know that they are willingly being used in a game to try to kill innocent civilians from a non-government affiliated island. World government affiliated island. That's horrible if they are fully aware of that. However much propaganda has been put into them. Horrible. The I'm just following orders route doesn't really work here. And the celestial dragons are just horrible in general. We see some of the slaves / prisoners, the rabbits and stuff, and they're just like, we might have a chance. Let's use this chaos to hop on a boat and sail away. So their intention is to try to escape. Fair. And then we have Roger, Rox, and Garp in 3 panels. So we have Roger, and he's, where's Shaki? Is she all right? He's trying to figure out where Shaki is, of course, because he's there to save her. We see Rox running around, and he's thinking, Eris, Teach, where are you? So Eris is the name of his wife. And I saw an earlier translation that was like Ellis. And I was like, well, maybe. And then Eris. So I don't know if this might be a reference to the Greek god of chaos. Eris, who's, the one who technically the reason the Trojan War even happened in the first place. She just loves to cause chaos and problems, and she feeds off of it. She's, of course, wonderfully depicted in Sinbad, in the animated movie Sinbad, where she's voiced by Michelle Pfeiffer, which is just perfect. I love her in that. She is wonderful in it. So we have that, and then Garp is running around looking for Roger. Where did Roger go is what he's looking for. I'm assuming he does not know that Dragon is here. Otherwise, I think he might be a little more concerned, or hopefully he would be a little more concerned about trying to find his son in all of this chaos. Speaking of Dragon, we see Dragon running. He has put on a cloak and a cape and everything. Possibly, well, he'll end up wearing one of those a lot later on. So he's got one now. He's running away. He's still got little Shanks and Shamrock in his arms. And he's just hang in there just a bit longer. Where are the Navy ships? This is what he's thinking. He's running away, trying to figure out where they are. They see people coming, and it's just nope, more pirates, not this way. Can't go this way. And then we have the very large lady Knight of God, God's Knight that we saw previous chapter that has the white and black hair and the horns and the fangs, the sharp teeth. We see her show up right on Dragon's tail. And it's just yeah, I see him. The Marine with a little bundle in his arms. I don't know why I just gave her a southern accent there, but I kind of want to stick with it. She just essentially hyper beams Dragon. She just hyper beams him. Just right through his right shoulder. Right through this area. Is where the beam goes. Now, I know that we've seen... Now, in One Piece, we've had a couple of bits. I know that I think it's Howling Gab on the Shanks' crew has a type of laser type ability or something like that. And of course, we know that other characters can have lasers. Those are Kizaru and the Pacifistas and Kuma, but that's a bit of a different thing. That's manufactured. This I don't think is manufactured because this would be before Vegapunk even joined the world government. This would have been during the time I think Vegapunk would have had Mads, if I remember correctly. If I'm remembering my timeline correctly. When Mads would have been going on. But, so we have that, or shortly before Mads would be started. So we have that. But she has a laser beam. Sure, she hyper beamed him. We can go with that. And she's just got him. And then she's talking on one of the Denjin Mushi, and we have someone responding, you're a lifesaver, Maffy. Garling would have killed me. And we see Dragon fall to the ground. One of the twins rolls away, back towards Maffy. So we have a name for her now, Maffy. I don't know. My brain wanted to go to Malfoy for Harry Potter reference, and I'm no, I don't think that's right. Maffy. We're going to get a last name for her in a moment, too. Also, we get a closer look up at her hair, and it kind of looks like she has like a volcano hairstyle a little bit. But one of the twins rolls away. This is going to be Shamrock. It's not specifically stated here, but this is going to be Shamrock. And Dragon has fallen to the ground. He's hurt. She picks up little Shamrock, who like fits in her freaking hand like a doll. And she's still got her cigar, which is just funny. We also see that she has a sword. And she seems to be wearing, well, very revealing top, cloak with, like, feathers and stuff on it, Doflamingo style, kind of, except it's, like, lighter colors. And she seems to be wearing a dress that has, like, flowers on it, which is kind of cute, I guess. I like her. I'm sure I like her design at the very least. And it's just like, who would have thought a prick like Garling would have a kid? That's almost as strange as our intriguing little kidnapper. So we get a title box for her. God's Knight, Satchel's family, Saint Maffy. So Satchels, whichever. New name of another celestial family. I'm sure I have a satchel around here somewhere. So we have that. We see Dragon, and he is like trying to reach for something. He's on the ground. He's clearly in pain, and he's thinking, wait, those babies, they're my only chance to atone for helping set up this twisted murder game, is what he's thinking. And Maffy pulls out her sword, which is more of a European-style long sword, and was just like, it was nice knowing you, young man, and is getting ready to literally stab him, while Shamrock cries in the background. And he's just like, I guess that's that. Considering all the dead, this is probably what I deserve. Just like, no, Dragon, you're not going to die here. We know that. Otherwise, this story doesn't happen because you don't have Luffy yet. So Luffy is your kid. So yeah, that's not gonna. We know you survive here. This part is just like, oh God, how's Dragon? This is not of, oh God, is Dragon going to make it out of it? This is more of a, oh God, how's Dragon going to make it out of this moment? It's like, well, he's going to, and the answer is somehow. Actually, the answer is not somehow. The answer is Whitebeard is how Dragon gets out of this mess. We just hear out of the way, and we just cut next panel, and it's just this. Whew, like huge slashing motion went through the trees and cut Maffy in half, and Dragon's far enough down that he's not hit by it. She is cut in half at the waist, goes flying. She's a God's Knight. She's gonna heal. She'll be fine. She'll stitch whatever herself back together. And we cut to the next panel, and it's Whitebeard walking through and Linlin walking through. So we have Newgate and Linlin walking through here. And he's just like, for the last time, I was aiming at the enemy, not you. And it's just like, liar, I could have died. So Whitebeard is the one who slashed through the trees. We see his Naga in his hand. Murakumo-giri, I believe is its name. And then Linlin's just angry at him. And then it's just like, how many other pirate crews landed here anyway? Is what Whitebeard is saying. And then she's like, you want to go right now or something? She's just like angry at him. It's just like, you almost hit me. Is like the answer there. And they're just like trouncing through this forest here, just causing problems. And then just like, Dragon is off to the side. He's hiding behind one of the tree stumps because like a bunch of the trees and stuff got sliced in half as well. So he's just like laying, like scurrying to the side. There's these pirates. They're so huge. I love that joke because like, yes, Linlin and Whitebeard are so big, and then like Dragon is 17. He's like scurried off to the side on the ground, and it's just like height comparisons. And I don't remember how tall Dragon ends up being. I know that like Garp and Dragon are like a bit taller than Luffy, and like Luffy's like average height, he's a little over 6. He's like 6'8" or something like that. 6'8", 6'9", somewhere in that range. He's not a whole lot taller than me. I don't think Luffy is 6 feet tall. But like Dragon is just like, oh God. So we're going to get to an odd inflection point here in a second based on what's going to happen here. That could have been like a whole what-if scenario. So first we have it that Shiki, we got to the next page, and the next page is a big double-page spread. So we have Shiki running up behind him. He's like, damn you, Newgate, you trying to kill me? And Whitebeard is just like, Shiki, crap. And then Kaido comes running from the other direction. This isn't what we agreed on, Lin Lin. Kaido. So they're all running together. So now we got these 4. And we have like a whole bunch of these other pirates that are showing up. And these ones I think are other ones from Hachinosu. But they're like just like much like... They're riffraff. They're like, you guys are literally cannon fodder type level characters compared to these ones here, compared to these 4. And what ends up happening is they're running at them and it's just like, the Rocks Pirates, if we can take them down, we'll be famous. And they're just like, huh? Oh, it's like looking at insects is the way that these guys look at these other pirates, is the way that these 4 look at these other pirates. And what happens is Shiki is just like, hang on, are these scrubs after Shaki 2? And then it's just like, and then we get this great panel here that is just all 4 of them just like unleashing their attacks. Big Mom is like swiping across them with like her, with Prometheus in one hand and like setting them on fire. We got Whitebeard swinging his Naginata. We've got Kaido with his, Kanabo, Saikai, and then we've got Shiki with his swords. I don't remember the names of his swords. And so we get like this great panel with like the 4 of them here. Just like slicing up, burning, walloping all of these pirates that are just like, you guys are riffraff. You guys are insects compared to them. And it's just like, get back to bed, you small fries, is what Lin Lin's calling them. So they're just getting sent flying. It's like, you guys are just not worth our time right now. We want to go save Shaki and find devil fruits is what we want to do. We're here to find Shaki, get devil fruits, and kick ass. And we're at the kicking ass phase right now because we haven't found the other 2. That's why they're there. So we see all these other pirates get sent flying. They're charred and burned and everything. We see that Maffy has, I guess, assumedly like stitched herself back together. And she's like, what in the world is happening on this island? And then Shamrock is just crying as well. Dragon has just witnessed this moment here. So now he looks over and he's like, I could probably slip away now, but I lost the babies. And then he hears like he looks over and he sees little baby Shanks is knocked out. He like bopped his head. He's got one of the big welts on his head. Probably a little bit of blood near him. To be fair, head trauma is not good for small children. Head trauma is not good for anybody, to be fair. But, you know, Dragon's just like, oh god. Baby. Protect baby. I think he's gonna pick up the baby in a second and start running. But there is an inflection moment here where it's just like, something could have changed. What if Lin Lin had looked down and saw the baby that Maffy had and was just like, oh, these are mine now. Went into her mother mode of like, must protect small child type of thing. What if that had happened? That would have been a very interesting inflection point here. And then like Lin Lin just like puts the 2 babies in her hat and has Prometheus protect them as they're running around the rest of God Valley. And then Lin Lin runs off with the kids. And then Lin Lin raises the 2 boys. There is an inflection point there. So there's that. Next page, we have Garp showing up. He hears this big explosion and he's like, now this is a big catch. I found a prime spot for fishing. So he jumps into the air, hockeys up his fist, and then just like essentially not quite a galaxy impact level thing, but definitely a right into the ground where they're all standing. And they're all just like, oh crap, it's Garp. Their answers, oh fuck, it's Garp. That's not good. And they're all running away and he's just like, brace yourselves, you big old sea kings, is what he's chasing after them. And, which, I mean, okay, I want to point something out here. The Lord of the Coast, you know, giant sea king that we see in the first chapter of One Piece, that takes Shanks' arm and tries to attack Luffy and is outside of Fuchsia Village in that area. That sea king has been there for a while. I don't remember if we get an exact time frame for how long it's been there, but that Sea King has been there for a while. I have an odd feeling that like Garp tamed the damn thing and told it to protect the village, but it just kind of doesn't want to do that. But it's also like Garp could have dealt with that thing anytime it showed up. So I think there was a twofold thing there. Garp, A, left it there, didn't defeat it or anything like that, because it's like he could have taken care of that thing with like one flick of his fingers, with like a flick of his pinky, and that Sea King would have been gone. But like Garp could have very easily taken care of the Lord of the Coast. But I think he left it there, A, as a way to kind of protect Fuchsia Village from pirates, to keep at least the small riffraff away. B, possibly as a way of trying to make it so it would be harder for Luffy to try to leave the village, type of a thing. And I mean, clearly it didn't keep Shanks away, but Shanks was a strong enough pirate that wasn't going to be a Sea King from the East Blue is like one of the least of Shanks' worries at that point in time, by the time he shows up at Fuchsia Village. But it's like, it's a very interesting concept for like, that would have been an interesting thing for why didn't Garp just get rid of the Sea King, particularly after he heard about what happened with Shanks. He says, well, the Sea King wasn't doing a good enough job. So then I think he leaves it there as an obstacle that Luffy has to get past if Luffy wants to leave the island, type of a thing. So as we get that there, I think that's just kind of an interesting side thought. Back to this. So they're all just running. It's just like, oh crap, it's Garp. Fight with him will drag on for too long, and they're running away. And Kaido's just like, wait a second, we aren't gonna fight back at all. And it's just like, can it? And Big Mom is grabbing Linlin is grabbing Prometheus and Zeus, and she's like, Zeus, Prometheus, yes, Mama, grabbing them. And Dragon sees what's going on here too, and he's thinking, Dad? Doesn't happen in this chapter. All of us want to have a moment where Garp and Dragon interact here on God Valley, or at the least shortly after. Because we know that we have not had a single panel in this story where we have Garp and Dragon interacting with each other. That wasn't just like a panel that someone drew to show all three of them together or something like that. We do not have a canon thing of all three of them together where they are all interacting, or even where Garp and Dragon are interacting with each other. We have Luffy and Garp interacting with each other a fair bit, and then we have Dragon saving Luffy at Log Town. That's about the closest we've had to them interacting. We know that at some point in time, Garp and Dragon probably had to have some type of an interaction for Dragon to give Luffy to Garp as a baby, for Garp to take care of as a baby or a toddler or something, for Garp to take care of. Taking care of is one way of putting it. So we have that, but then it's the whole question of like, okay, well, what else is gonna happen? Like, they have to have a moment. There has to be a moment where Dragon chews his father out for like what's happening here on the island, for the fact that they were killing innocent civilians that had nothing to do with the world government, that had nothing to do, hadn't caused problems or anything like that, and that they turned it into a sick game. There has to be a moment where Dragon confronts his father about that. And either we're going to get that during this flashback, or we're going to have something else where we have Garp thinking back on it at some point in time, or Dragon thinking back on it, or use it as a transition from one to the other, to see them have this moment. Because there has to be a moment like that. There has to. Or at least we want there to be a moment like that. And it's not like it has to be like a big epic panel of them fighting or anything like that, but there has to be a moment where Dragon confronts his father about that, and where Garp kind of lays down his rule of just like, I am in this system. I have to work from the inside of the system to try to fix everything. And then Dragon's like, well, screw that. I'm going to go start a revolutionary army. I'm going to go start the Freedom Fighters. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to find a better way of doing this that causes less pain for innocent people. Something like that. So, Dragon sees Garp. Garp does not see Dragon that we are aware of. Linlin grabs Zeus and Prometheus and uses Heavenly Fear Blitz, where she just fires a ton of lightning and fire at Garp. And they're just like, Vice Admiral Garp! And like, Garp just gets hit with it. Just gets hit with it. And there's a big explosion off in the background. A bunch of pirates running away. Fair. If I was a pirate, I'd go running as soon as I saw Garp too. And then we see Ivankov and Kuma. And Ivankov is like, what was that? No, focus on our chance, Kuma. This is our chance, Kuma. And so this is before they've gotten hold of either of the cases, either any of the chests that have the devil fruits in them. So assumedly what is happening is this is when they are on there. They've already made their plan and now they're on their way to go get the chests. So that way they can start trying to, make their way into the town. And using a ton of this stuff as distraction. Which is perfect because we know that it works. Mostly. And then we cut to just this panel of just like Garp standing up again. Charred and burned. And then like smoke coming off of him. And it's just like, this ain't even hot enough to cook a prime rib, Lindlin. Just like, oh God, Garp. Oh God. Just, it's like it's very much, okay, we're gonna get to like possible PTSD here that like Lindlin and Kaido experienced here that then got brought up again with Luffy during Onigashima. So Lindlin's just like, oh fuck. And they're booking it trying to get away is where those 4 are headed. Those 3 or 4 are headed are just booking it to try to escape. I'm wondering if Lindlin, during the fight with Luffy, or after she, like, uses one of her Prometheus Zeus attacks on him, and she's just like, okay, I kind of get why the electricity didn't affect you. You're rubber. Why didn't the fire hurt you? And then Luffy's just like, because guts. And I'm like, technically, Sun God power, now that we know about now, but, like, you know what? I'm just going to chalk it up to natural immunity because of Garp DNA is what I'm going to chalk that up to now. So I just, Lindlin having a flashback at that point in time, just like God Valley flashbacks going on in her head. Just like, oh, fuck, he is like his grandpa. Damn it. I didn't want to fight him either, and now I got to fight his brat. It's just like all of that. I love that idea. That part's just funny to me. Now we cut back to Matthew, who has stood up. She has Shamrock. I am going to assume that there was some type of miscommunication here along the line. Because she only grabs Shamrock. She doesn't see Shanks. She doesn't think to look for Shanks. She just finds one of the babies. Because if she knew that there were 2 of them, or somewhere there was a miscommunication. Maybe she got told there was only 1 kid, kidnapped Garling's offspring or whatever, and she goes off to get the baby and bring it back. Doesn't know that there's 2 of them. Someone is going to get in trouble for this because there were 2 of them. It might be her, or it might end up being whoever she's on the Den Den Mushi with. By the way, I saw a pillow at one of the stores in the mall this morning that is like has the golden Den Den Buster Call Den Den Mushi on it, and I'm like, I don't want that either. I didn't want the action figure version of that dang snail. I don't want the pillow version either. I have been trained to not want that snail anywhere near me. I know what happens. But what ends up happening, what we have here, and she's like, hey, the kidnapper's probably dead, and I've secured the baby. That's good enough, right? And Shamrock is crying. And the person on the other is, I'm forever in your debt. Now please get back here before Garling finds out. I'm sorry to tell you this. Garling's gonna find out. He's gonna get back to wherever the heck Shamrock is, where Shanks was supposed to be as well, and be like, I'm 1 short. Where's the other one? There were 2? Oh. Just like whoever's been in charge of them. Okay. Yeah, can I at least say goodbye to my wife before you, behead me or something? Whoever. So, Dragon is running. He has Shanks in his arms, who is just like kind of out cold. And he's just like, I'm sorry, I may not be able to help your brother, but I swear to at least save you. So he's running. Then we cut back to where we see the Man Meyer chick with like the hat and the gun, Gunko's relative, and it's just like, you really thought you could get away in the chaos? Pirate or townsfolk, none of you will escape on my watch. And we see her just firing at a ton of the civilians that were captured, just like firing at a ton of them. So she's just still playing along with the game. Okay, we're getting a bit of an information as to what is going on here. We cut back to like the little western looking town where like kind of where the prizes were and where some of the celestial dragons were. So what happens is we have reporting in, the Rocks pirates are coming in from the southeast. The Roger pirates are from the northwest. We've been sandwiched. So they're getting the celestial dragons out of there. They have the current location, which is like the little town that's in between the two God Valley, structures, the rock structures that's in between there. So Rox is coming from one area, Dragon is coming from the other, and they're going to sandwich them in the middle. And, it's like, give back Shocky! It's Roger! Fight to the last. We haven't gotten the treasure to safety yet. The Rox crew are coming from the other side. So it's just, the Marines are just in a panic at this point in time. The Marines are just in a panic. We see a bunch of the Rox pirates running this way. We see Gonzui, Gloriosa. We see Gil Bastard, who's joined during the time frame before Shocky showed up, or before they were able to figure out that Shocky was on, before they got the info that Shocky was on God Valley, that's where she was going to be. We see Silveraxe and Shiki. They're arguing. And then we see Captain John as well. I'm going to get back to Captain John in a second. So Silveraxe is just like, I'm going to save her first. Shiki, no, I will. Let go. And then I think it's Captain John going like, Shiki, we're here to save you. Captain John has a freaking cybernetic arm for his right hand. I don't recall that in the zombie form. I don't recall him having a cybernetic hand as a zombie. I don't recall that at all. So I'm just confused as to all heck there. And the thing is, it's like, well, you're going to see it again in a later panel. So it's intentional because he's like firing a laser with it, or like firing something out of it. So I'm just like, okay, where did that come from? Because I don't remember seeing that before. That seems like something someone would have brought up in a video. I'm sure it's going to get talked about now. So Summers has shown up. And he's just like, hurry and stop them. You at least moved Shakayaku, right? And he's just like, St. Summers, about that. So he goes into the area where they were holding her. And some of the Marines are just, St. Summers, like, what are you doing here? And we see him in the room, and we see Shocky. And she is still chained up. But a bunch of the Marines that had been in there keeping an eye on her have been knocked out on the ground, or one is like halfway into the wall, kicked into the boxes and crates and stuff like that were in the room. And he's just like, don't tell me all of them were taken out by a little chained up lady. It's like, she is a former empress of Amazon Lily. She is freaking strong. Beauty or not, she is strong. Her beauty just adds to that. Just like, sounds like the pirates out there are really going to town. She's just like, calm. Semi-calm. And then he's just like, how distasteful. There's nothing less cute than a woman who knows her worth. And he slaps Shocky. So, just more reasons for just this whole section is just going to be just more reasons for us to just want Summers to die a horrible, horrible, excruciatingly painful, long, agonizing death. I don't remember if we get the answer I don't know if we've gotten the answer as to how much pain the Gorosei or the God's Knights go through when they get hurt. We know that they regenerate, but we don't know how much of that pain they actually feel. I'm assuming there is the pain there, particularly if you're able to use, how Scopper was able to, kind of bypass the regeneration ability for, a short time frame, where he used enough of his hockey combination stuff to be able to bypass it on Summers when he was trying to, when he was showing up to help. Before he got arrowed in the gut by Gunko. But it's this very interesting concept for how much pain do they actually go through? Because if they just had him and kept him pinned and just continuously, okay, that might fall into the realm of unusual and inhumane punishment. But it's Summers, so I don't think I care. So he slaps Shocky, knocks. She turns that into momentum and kicks him, and then he grabs her leg and pulls out his thorn bat thing that he has, his version of a Kanabo, whacks her with that. She falls to the ground. We don't actually see the panel of him hitting her, but we hear it and she screams and he knocks her to the ground. I'm assuming he like hit her in her leg is I think where he hit her because it looks like her leg is now bleeding. And it's just like, all these pirates are here to take you away. Your popularity is quite the pain. It's certainly made a mess of our townie. Even if you survive this, Garling will ultimately claim you as his. No one else really gains anything. So, I'm starting to wonder if it wouldn't just be more fun to kill you here and now. This whole setup here is one of the reasons where it's like, okay, being Garling's wife does not seem like a fun thing to be, but being Summers' slave seems like a far worse position to be in. Because, no, Garling is not going to treat Shocky particularly well, and he's probably going to cause her pain, but it's a whole thing of like, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be treating her the way that Summers was planning on treating her, or the way that he's treating her now. To be fair, neither of them are a good situation to be in, but there is a slightly preferred situation to be in that point in time. And we just see this fucked up look in Summers' eyes. And he's just like, they've come all this way to save you. But it'd be unfortunate for them to survive hell only to find the mangled corpse of their beloved here. And we get to another panel. The next panel shows, so it's Captain John, Silver Axe, and Whitebeard are all just like plowing their way through the other pirates. We see Gonzui off to the side as well. I don't think we see Shiki, but we see those four. And they're just, swinging their axes or their blades or whatever, and, like, Captain John's using his, like, freaking, I don't know, bullet laser hand thing that he has. And Summers continues, I wonder what kind of faces they'll make. And Roger has shown up. Him and Whitebeard clash. So that's kind of like, the precursor to, like, them fighting on the island for the 3 days. They're, that kind of, their blades are actually meeting in this case. So their hockey level isn't to the point where it's just like they have so much hockey, it's like their blades don't even meet. They are meeting here. And they're just like, a bunch of the pirates are just like screaming and everything like that about what's going on. Shocky, we've come to save you. Shiki is just like, Shocky, are you okay? I'm going to save you now. And it's just like a bunch of the other pirates. It'll be me. No, I'm the one. And then Roger looks over and is like, damn it, my hands are tied right now. I'll leave Shocky to you. And we see Rayleigh just like Rayleigh is like just like just like making a beeline directly to where Shocky is. And he is making his way there as fast as he can. And we cut back to the storehouse room where they have Shocky being held and where Summers is torturing her, standing over her. And it's just like, can you hear that? They're right outside. But I'm afraid they're just a little too late. And one of the soldiers is just like, St. Summers, Garling won't forgive this kind of transgression. And he's just like, zip it. If you keep quiet, they'll just chalk it up to an accident. Okay. I don't think, this is horrible what's happening here, I don't think Garling is going to chalk this up to an accident, given the way that the two of you clearly have a rivalry going on. Summers is probably effing pissed that Garling has been made a Gorosei at this point in time, and that now has even more authority over him as opposed to just the commander, supreme commander of the God's Knights. No, now he's a Gorosei. I don't think Summers is happy about that. And then on top of it, but I'm pretty sure Garling would have been able to figure out the fact that Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Summers who did this, and then Summers would probably just get horribly punished um, for trying to take the prize that was rightfully Garling's in their mind. And Summers is just staring down at Shocky as she's laying on the ground because her leg is hurt and she can't get up because he like stabbed her leg with the thorn bat. He's like, look at her face, all hope snuffed out. See, this ain't a fairy tale. I just got any hero who'd show up. Life's a bitch, ain't it? And he's just like cackling. He's like, I'll kill you in 5 slashes. Savor the pain. You're wonderful. Your wishful thinking will drain out with your blood. And like Shocky, I mean, like, it's again the whole thing of like, we know Shocky makes it out of here. We know Shocky makes it out of this hell that she is currently in right now. Because we know that because we've seen her. We've interacted with her. We know that her and Rayleigh end up together, that they end up married, all of that stuff. We know all of that. So it's not like any of this is necessarily a like, oh my god, what about Dragon? When is he going to get out of here? It's a how, not a if. It's, with this case, it's like, Shocky has to get out of this situation. We know it's going to be Rayleigh, but it's like, okay, what's going to happen? How freaking bashed into the wall is Summers going to get in a second? How angry is Rayleigh right now? Answer, all the way through the wall and very... like, this is like one of the angriest we will ever see Rayleigh in the entire series, I think. That didn't involve him showing up on Hachinosu, or not on Hachinosu. That doesn't involve him showing up on Amazon Lily to save Hancock and her in the island from Blackbeard. That is, I think, the other time we have seen Rayleigh that effing pissed. Like, this level of angry, or anywhere near it. Those 2 times. I was trying to think if there would have been anything with, like, maybe when he was trying to help the Straw Hats, help them escape from Sabaody the first time, but I'm not sure. But like this level of angry, this level of pissed off, like, oh, Summers, you're gonna be in a lot of pain in a second. And then like, so Summers is like, has his bat raised and is ready to start bashing away at Shocky, which just sounds horrible. And then he just kind of like, huh? Like that moment of like, oh, this is gonna... What the heck was that? Oh, I'm effed. And then we have Rayleigh just like bursting through the door. I'll send you to the darkest shadows of the underworld, which is probably where the Dark King part of his name comes from. And Summers just kind of like looks over his shoulder and he's like, oh, I'm... Like, it's the look of, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. This isn't good. I'm effed. Is what's going on here. And then Rayleigh, and God, I hope they make this look amazing in the anime. Rayleigh just, because Rayleigh fights with one sword, so he's just like, force, 2 X slices, slicing at Summers. Summers gets like Looney Tuned through the wall, and Rayleigh is just like, transcendent Higan Crescent. And so, Shocky's still laying on the ground. Rayleigh has attacked Summers and sent him flying. There were a couple of translations that came through with this one for like what this attack was going to be. So kind of the way that it ends up going is part of what it reads is a red spider lily, which are very popular flowers in Japan. They're generally used for welcoming death and funerals and things like that. They're blue spider lilies are important in Demon Slayer, but red spider lilies are far more abundant. And then the other translation that kind of came up with this was the type of attack that Rayleigh was using was named after a type of like farming implement that kind of ended up becoming like a military weapon, a halberd, something like that, a bill hook type of a thing that was used for like, cutting wheat and forestry and agriculture and different things like that. And then eventually it also made its way into like weaponry, like on the top of spears and things like that, like javelins and things like that had them, and they were used in like cavalry, in like the cavalry. and stuff like that. So there's like kind of a couple of references there that I think that get thrown in there with that. So Rayleigh has defeated Summers. He is sent flying. He's looking down at Shocky, and he's just like, Shocky. Pulls his sword back, sheaths his sword. Sorry for the delay. And we see like the little flashback of like him holding the note that says, you know, come and make me yours, Shakuyaku. And he's like, I'm here for you. And he's holding his hand out to her. You know, a very romantic way of like, come on. And she's just like all hell is breaking loose outside. There is like death and destruction and all of this stuff going on right now outside. And she is just tearing up. And she's like, Rei-san! And I think he like he slices her chain, the chains that are on her wrist. And she's just like, Rei-san, and she's like, you know, he's like pulling her, she's like leaning into him and he's pulling her close. And she's like, you're late. And he's just like, I'm sorry for letting it come to this. And she's like, I was so scared. And I don't blame Shocky for crying here because she finally has the guy that she has been in love with for like 2-3 years at this point in time. The man that she has the love sickness for. The man who she wanted to be with when she said she didn't want to be owned by any man. And then she was around Rayleigh. She met Rayleigh and she liked Rayleigh and she, you know, all of that stuff. And, you know, the whole him being like semi-immune to her beauty and everything else like that. So we have that here. And she's just like hugging him and he's hugging her. And then we have like Scopper and Roger outside just like being both happy for Rayleigh but also sad because of Rayleigh, which is just like these dueling emotions going on there. And like Rayleigh and her just like, I'll never ever, and it's probably like, you know, just decrees of love, like I'll never ever leave you again, I promise we'll be together, you know, that type of those, you know, love emotional, you know, promises and everything else. So it's like, I'll never ever, save it for later, you dog. It's the two of them coming into play. And it's just like, guys, we've got Shocky, grab the treasure and run for it, woo! So they're just like so happy. So I love the fact that it's like all of us were like thinking about like way back when like Rayleigh and Shocky first showed up, and then like for the way that like stuff goes with like translation and confirming that yes, they are together and all of that type of stuff, for like, yes, they're essentially married. And then we get to this stuff here with this part of the flashback, and it's like, wow, yeah, that is kind of a One Piece version of a fairy tale in like this, you know, as I said, a ballad of, you know, love and a hail of arrows is like the name of the chapter. And I'm like, yeah, that really fits for what would work for like a title of like a Game of Thrones thing, or, you know, something like that, or like a story in Game of Thrones, or like a chapter or something. That just seems like something that would exist, or like that seems like a story from like a fairy tale. And Shocky was essentially like a kidnapped queen, and Rayleigh is her dark king showing up to save her. I love that. I know I've already talked about Rayleigh and Shocky when I did my couples videos where I was talking about different couples in One Piece. And eventually, once we get a few more couples shown and some of the other stuff animated, I'll probably get back to some of that. So, like, eventually I'll talk about, like, Harald and Ida and Harald and Estrid and some of the other stuff. Like, eventually I'll talk about Kuma and Ginny, their relationship and stuff like that. And then eventually I'll do a video where I revisit Rayleigh and Shocky, given all of this additional information that we have with what's here. So eventually I'll get back to that. But I love the way that this is, where it's like they are, yes, this is them together. Still got to figure out the way to solve the thing of like, okay, how are we going to get it that people stop trying to, you know, take Shocky, you know, try to kidnap her, stuff like that. How's that going to go? So going into, there's like a little bit of chapter notes here. So it does list the names of all of those who were, all of the, so it starts off, the first part of it is all of the lanterns in, on the cover page with Yamato and stuff. So there's Toki, Odin, Yasuie, Uzuki Tempura, who is one of the daimyo, Fugetu Omosube, who is one of the daimyo, Shimotsuki Ushimaru, who is the daimyo that is Zoro's great uncle, Taka, who is Hyogoro's wife. Izo, Pedro is there as well. Kuro, and like part of the name is cut off, so there's one that's like Kuro, and we can't read the name, and then Ashura Doji. So one of the names has like part of it is like missing, so we can only read part of it. And so I don't know exactly who that one's supposed to be. So we'll get to that at some point in time, I'm sure. And then again, for the Red Spider Lily reference and stuff like that, is like going over Rayleigh's attack. The kanji is a reference to a small black sash that invokes the idea of enlightenment in Buddhism, is part of that. And then it does go into like the Red Spider Lily stuff, so there's some stuff there. So that kind of finishes up that chapter. Thankfully I had the day off today, so I didn't have to do this after I got home from work when I was hungry and tired, so that was good. Next week will hopefully be the same way. I'm not supposed to work next Friday. We'll see what happens. But that's what I have here. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.